The internet is a big dumpster.
In this world, accessible of kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-Drunk fraternity guy, you got my asshole, bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a blue blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to go. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public dominant. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, so let the parties will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/EchoPlexMedia. Listeners on the pod might have noticed that the Media Wench did the show last week, and she did a great job of holding it down, as always. If you want to support this project, you can do that at EchoPlexMedia.com. Just click the support link at the top of the website. Pick your favorite way to do it. Buy some merch. Just give me money directly. Whatever works for you. Also, be sure to check out Used to Be a Spy. It's our Burn Notice rewatch podcast that just came out. And it went really, really well. I had a great time doing it, and we'll have another one this month. Probably recording a week from tomorrow. Anyway, I'm Producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. And there's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong, donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
All right, everybody. So we don't usually do a lot of news about other streamers generally around here because that's not the kind of channel this is. But I thought this was kind of interesting, actually. Hassan Piker seems to have been detained at the border, and here's what he has to say about how that went.
I'm sitting there and they're asking me about Trump. They're asking me about like Hamas, and he kept saying stuff. He kept saying stuff like, do you like Hamas? Like, do you support Hamas? Do you think Hamas is a resistance group? Do you think Hamas is a terrorist group or a resistance group? Like, he just kept asking over and over again, right? And I kept repeating the same statement over and over again. I kept saying, I kept saying a couple different things. One, in terms of like Israel and all the wars, I was like, I'm on the side of civilians. I want the endless bloodshed to end. I am a pacifist. I want wars to end. I just kept repeating that over and over again. Every single time he asked.
No. Yo, dude, you're talking to fucking law enforcement. You know what it is? It's Shut the Fuck Up Friday. You go, I need a lawyer. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I don't know why you're asking me these questions. I'm not answering your questions, and I need a lawyer.
I just kept repeating that. And every single time he asked me a question, a leading question about Hamas, I kept saying, the United States State Department recognizes Hamas as a terrorist organization. The United States State Department recognizes Hamas as a terrorist organization. Depending on how I answer those questions, like, I'm fucking going to jail. Because the first stuff was just illegal for him to ask me those questions and completely idiotic and ridiculous. And I think they did it because they know who the fuck I am, and they wanted to put the fear of God into me, not knowing that I'm a stubborn piece of shit and that's not going to work at all. Right. The second half of the conversation was actually like, because he left, went away for like 35 minutes, came back, and then he asked like actionable items. But one thing that I will take note of that I thought was very interesting was the fact that a lot of the shit that like the Ethan Kleins of the world have like cried about over and over again were unironically brought up in that fucking conversation. I was shocked. Okay. Not like the bleach sword, obviously, but like the Houthi. Like, did you interview a Houthi? It says here that you interviewed a Houthi. And I was like, or was he actually a Houthi? And I was like, he's not. You can look to all of the reporting that came out afterwards and before I interviewed him that he is not he's not a Houthi, that he is a regular Yemeni.
You know who you interviewed? Your lawyer. Oh my God, you're an American citizen being detained at the U.S. border by American law enforcement. The laws and all the rights and privileges and responsibilities that are afforded and are part of being a U.S. citizen apply to you. You probably didn't like tell him shit really, but I wouldn't be like litigating a fucking interview I did with the fucking cops. Fuck that. I'd be like, am I free to go?
Citizen. And I said, like, his name is Rashid al-Haddad. He is not even a Shia. And the dude, luckily, again, Iraqi, went, oh yeah, that's right. That's a Sunni last name. Al-Haddad is a Sunni last name. So he must not have been a Houthi. And the very fact that that was like a point of contention that could have fucking gotten me arrested is insane. And I genuinely, in that moment, was thinking like, these fucking dumbass slop tubers are actually playing with fucking fire.
So there was a lot more to that, but I liked the cut one that was there. I know it jumped around a little bit and that there was some context missing, but I mean, I didn't want to run like a 10-minute clip of that. Friends, don't talk to the cops. Not the border patrol, not your fucking local pigs. If you have to call the cops because some shit happened that you weren't able to control, you tell the cops as little as possible. They start asking you questions. You're like, here's what's going on. I hate that it has to come to this. But in this situation, you're like, hey, I'm just kind of trying to go home. And you're trying to stop me from getting home. And I need to talk to my lawyer because I'm just trying to go home. And that's it. You don't got to tell them shit. You don't got to tell them shit about fucking Hamas. You don't got to tell them shit about fucking Israel. You got to tell them shit about who you interviewed. Yo, dude, shut the fuck up. Because even under the current regime, I don't think they're taking you in. But if you start talking, I don't know. There's a lot of fucked up provisions of the Patriot Act that we're not all aware of. Some thought crimey shit in there. Friend, just shut up. Oh, somebody in chat says that he does mention that he shouldn't have answered the questions. And I guess in the moment, it's probably harder. And I think a lot of us, especially maybe those of us who talk for a living, might think that we can fucking talk our way out of shit. Luckily for him, I don't think there was shit for him to talk his way out of. I think he was right. I think they just wanted to harass him because they knew who he was. And because he's been, active in talking about the genocide of the Palestinians. I don't think they had any reason to detain him, and I think even under this administration, it wouldn't have flown. But just shut up. Just don't. Just be like, I need my lawyer. I would, am I being charged with a crime? Am I free to go? Am I being detained? I'm being detained. Okay, well then I need my lawyer. If you're detaining me and I can't go, then we got to have somebody else in this room with me who's representing me and protecting my rights, because I ain't talking to you. But I'm glad he got let go. We're not huge fans of other streamers around here, and we're not like Hassan fans around here particularly. I don't have a problem with him though. Whatever. He seems like he's generally holds a similar position to mine on a lot of stuff, and he seems like a nice enough guy. And I don't know. People shit on him for having a $2 million house, but he lives in downtown LA. How the fuck much do you think a house in LA costs? I don't know. If he works hard, which he does, and he earned enough money to buy himself a fucking house and put his mom up in the house and shit. Fuck it. Let the man be. Also, Border Patrol, fuck you. Fuck you. Stop harassing people as they're just trying to go home. That is not your job. Up next, we got, you remember last week there were those lawmakers that showed up at the immigration facility. Well, we got two of our favorite ghouls in the world talking about what should happen to them. First one, Mr. Charles Kirk.
This is a very easy one for my friend Cash Patel and Pam Bondi. Very easy. They went after American patriots for peacefully walking into the United States Capitol building non-violently while being invited, while doors were opened, and they stayed within the lanes, the little rope lines.
Wait, a little rope lines.
Congress that stormed into a federal ICE facility despite warnings.
Yo, we saw the video. Nobody stormed shit. Homeboy, like, walked past the fence line. That's it. And then they told him to get on the other side of the fence line, and he got on the other side of the fence line, and they arrested him. That's what happened. That's all that happened. Nobody stormed shit. This is a lie.
Absolutely be charged for this, without a doubt. No one is above the law, is what we've always been saying. No one is above the law. Play cut 168.
There will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers.
No, we don't.
Body slamming.
Where is this body camera? Who was what? I'm sorry. Unless there's another incident that we didn't see video of.
A female ICE officer, so we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
If you have that video, are you suggesting that members of Congress will be arrested who were there yesterday?
That is definitely on the table.
And that's exactly what should...
Wait, the CNN guy in that clip should be like, what video? Be like, in our journalism, we haven't uncovered any such video. Are you going to provide that to the media? Are you going to provide that to the people? There's no video of the fucking lawmakers like trying to beat up the fucking ICE agents. Get the fuck out of here.
You see, the Democrats have a big problem with immigration, customs, and enforcement. But if you assault ICE, you get consequences. If you storm an ICE facility,
nobody stormed the facility.
Rob Menendez complained that they had put their hands on a member of Congress. Oh, I must have missed the memo that he was an untouchable.
Well, no, law enforcement isn't supposed to folks. Nobody's supposed to put their fucking hands on you. There's actually there, it was a protest. Tempers were high and stuff, but there's no reason for any cops to be putting their hands on people from what I saw there. The only thing that happened literally is I think the mayor of Newark was the mayor of Newark or Jersey City. I think it was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, walked past the fence line when the gate was open. And he talked to somebody for a minute, was told to get on the other side of the fence line, and he did. That's it. Should he have walked past the fence line? I don't know, probably not, but it's just a fence line. Like, nothing happened.
To be invulnerable, that he is royalty. And by the way, his dad is literally a traitor. Bob Menendez sold our country out to Egypt for gold bars.
That's pretty based. I mean, if you're going to do a treason, get some gold bars.
Senate Foreign Intelligence Committee. Selling out American secrets for cash. And he also had multiple instances of near misses with the law. This guy was a disgusting person.
What does a near miss with the law mean?
Let's play cut 197.
Just because you are a member of Congress or just because you are a public official does not mean you are above the law. We will continue. If you assault a law enforcement officer, we will also make sure you answer.
Yo, where was who assaulted the ICE people? I saw fuck all that looked like that. When the person when they arrested the mayor of Newark, he didn't seem to resist arrest. He didn't go, "Oh, thank you, how many bags full?" But there's a lot of space between "thank you, how many bags full" and resisting arrest.
Justice. So I think that arrests are still on the table for this.
Charlie, where's the video of the assault? If there was an assault, why aren't you playing the video of the assault? Charlie, where's the assault? You're so sure that this happened. Where the fuck's the video of it? Everybody was filming everything there. There were so many different camera angles of what was going on there, from phones, from the press, probably from body cams of the ICE agents. Where's this assault at? Let's see it. Come on, let's party.
Patricia girl's doing well. I think I've met her. I know her. And I think the administration needs to have 10 or 12 people like this at every department be able to go on TV. She's been doing really well. Throw the book at him. Cash it.
Like, where's the assault?
Details you need. Charge these members of Congress.
For what?
They stormed the facility. They assaulted our ICE officers.
Where?
They are above the law. They tried to put President Trump in jail for 700 years for something he did not do. They are begging you to indict them and do it. Don't.
Where's the assault? Is that the she? Are they saying that was an assault? Because she was okay. So I bet they're saying that homegirl here assaulted the guy because she put her like kind of arm out like this, but she was being pushed, I think, by another ICE agent into this, and you put your arm out like that so you don't like run into them. Like it's to brace yourself. Like nothing is happening here. Is this a good situation? No, but like nothing is happening. Nothing like what he's describing is happening here.
Them. The only way that we end the lawfare chapter in this country is reciprocity. They came after us. They assaulted ICE officers.
Where?
We'll go after them.
Is that video supposed to show us that? I don't think anybody was being assaulted. The police weren't even doing a police brutality. It doesn't look like, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. Like all things considered, those are the police that are gonna. The police didn't even do a police brutality. Nothing happened. Homeboy got arrested when he probably shouldn't have. There's probably no reason to arrest the guy, and he was released right away. And I doubt he's going to face charges. But nothing happened. Like fucking nothing happened. Up next, here's Bannon. Certain members of Congress should be arrested for this.
The hurtling towards the constitutional crisis. And when I said this with Jason, and Jason said this is the number one thing with all the budget stuff's going on, all the tax stuff's going on. I'll have that all broken down in the 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock hour. This hurtling towards a constitutional crisis, which we are hurtling towards, it must be resolved by the end of June. When the Supreme Court leaves for the summer, they're not back to October. This cannot fester over the summer. This issue, particularly about the deportation, something else. I believe certain members of Congress should be arrested this afternoon for their activities on this situation up in Newark. The mayor was already arrested. I think Stephen Miller, as we started here on the show, with Rogan O'Hanley and D.C. Drano to talk about the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus like President Lincoln did during the Civil War, that this is something that has to be on the table. I believe that this is going to be even a big part of the controversy.
Suspend habeas corpus. Why? Like during the Civil War, there was a fucking Civil War.
It's going to become part of the conversation. I know Stephen Miller and the crack team over there. He's Deputy White House Counsel, Chief of Staff for Policy. I think Stephen and his team are all over this. Remember, Stephen ran America First Law, which is outstanding, did so much of the great work. This is the convergence of the crises, right? You have the constitutional crisis on the mass deportations and really President Trump's power under Article 2. The judge in San Francisco on Friday said he doesn't have the ability to either cut costs of personnel at 21 separate federal agencies. So the whole Article 2 powers of the president now being challenged by, let's face it, radical Marxist, neo-Marxists, a judicial supremacist in the federal judiciary. It's got to be.
Judicial supremacists. Yeah. By that he means people who think that the judicial branch is a co-equal branch of government that could put the brakes on either of the other two branches of government.
Times situation on a Saturday night. What happens to the Supreme Court's rules? It said, hey, we're going to have to see at the time. It's that open a question.
This is wild. You don't suspend. No. You don't suspend. There's some people don't like how many fucking immigrants there are. That's all that's going on. And I think that it's, my views on this are pretty well understood and well known. This is all overblown and it's all bullshit. And the point here isn't so much that they're worried about like civil unrest or whatever. The point here is that they want to get more moderates, more normies, more like middle of the road kind of people on board with their agenda. And the way to do that is to paint liberals and leftists as violent, as saying that just the mere fact that we don't support this immigration policy, they want to essentially say that we're aiding and abetting the crime of illegal entry into the U.S. This is all really dumb because it's fucking thought crime. It's straight up thought crime. And I just want to see where the video is of anybody there assaulting the ICE agents. Like I said, the ICE agents didn't even do a police brutality, which fucking fucking stunner. I'm absolutely surprised, shocked that the ICE agents didn't do a police brutality, because that would have been a time to do a police brutality. Not that there's ever a good time to do a police brutality. I'm just saying from their point of view, that would have been a pretty good time to do a police brutality. Up next, we got Waters. I think that it's a three-way tie on Fox News. Who's the dumbest motherfucker there? It's either Waters, Gutfeld, or Kilmeade. Let's see what Waters has. Let's see what Waters and Rand Paul have to say about tariffs.
If he succeeds in lowering tariffs and lessening the obstacles to trade, I'll be right there. I think it's unknown with China. We started out at 145%, then we went to 80%, now we're at 30%. But that's 30% more than we have on currently. So this will be a 30% rise in any goods who are coming from China, and somebody will pay that. It will be the consumer. If the consumer's happy to pay more when they go to Walmart or more when they go to Target in order to get fairness or to teach China a lesson, then so be it. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens over the next 6 months to a year. So you
Dude, when you've lost Rand Paul, actually, this isn't surprising for Rand Paul that Rand Paul would be against tariffs. Rand Paul is not an open borders guy for human beings, but he's certainly an open borders guy for money and goods, right? He's a fucking straight up libertarian, wants the money and goods flowing freely over the borders. I generally agree with that position for the most part, so long as like countries like the U.S. are maybe putting their thumb on the scale as far as like workers' rights and stuff in other countries to the extent we can. Up next, we got Donald Trump is the best negotiator. The best.
Coal, we need solar, we need wind, we need nuclear, and we need it now.
I think one of the key data points here in whether Trump's own leverage strategy is working is that they went into a negotiation with China and basically unilaterally lowered their own 145% tariff down to something that is still very high, but he negotiated himself down off of a hill that he climbed on his own. I'm not sure how that's creating leverage.
I mean, the leverage is getting them to the table.
China,
Remember,
but China didn't give them anything.
But the leverage is getting them to the table? Since Nixon, U.S. representatives and Chinese representatives have been at the table, so to speak, talking about all kinds of geopolitical and economic things. That was the point of the normalization of the relationship with what they then fucked up. They called it Red China. China and the U.S. meet all the time as you know, major economic and military powers on the world stage. They should.
So I think that's part of the problem is that you backing down is not true.
They're already negotiating non-tariff trade barriers.
Backing down is not leverage. Backing down is just backing down.
Getting to them to the table is leverage. If you hated Donald Trump,
getting them to the table. But
there's a better way to describe it. I mean, the better way to describe.
Historically, the governments never meet and have conversations. This is the first time ever that the fucking U.S. representatives had any discussions with China about trade. What the fuck, dude? This is dumb. This is all incredibly dumb. Getting them to the table? And the framing, by the way, that Trump like backed down or whatever, fucking who cares? Who cares? This is all dumb shit in the first place. Like the framing, oh, he went in there all big and bad and look what happened. It's like, well, why is he doing this in the first place? This is dumb and misguided. This doesn't help anyone. And all it does is like he's issuing tariffs on countries that don't even have any people. There's that one island that's like all inhabited by penguins. This dumb motherfucker put a 10% tariff on the fucking penguins there. Now your Linux ISO went up 10%. Like what? Like this is all dumb. And I think to some extent, like mainstream or legacy media is doing a disservice to the audience by like treating this as if it's something useful, as if there's any. As if having leverage here by threatening to tariff like another country. It's like I guess you have leverage by threatening to cut your finger off because nobody wants to watch you cut your finger off. But if there was like an economic war, essentially, you know, a non-kinetic economic war between the U.S. and China, it wouldn't be good for anybody, but China would come out on top. They make everything. They can be like, oh, we're just not shipping anything. Fuck you. Then what? They have a centrally planned economy. They can fucking sell stuff to Europe. They can take the hit for a while. It won't be good. It's not good for anybody. The Chinese people would suffer. The American people would suffer. Fucking Canadians would catch a couple strays probably. Mexico would catch some strays because I bet a lot of stuff that ends up in Canada and Mexico comes through the U.S. ports. Like it would be bad. But I think China could ride it out longer than the United States could, simply because they're producing all these goods and can sell them elsewhere. Maybe even just raise the prices everywhere else. I don't know. I don't know how it would work, but they hold all the cards and all the chips. Up next, we got Tiny Dancer Ben. Doesn't like this none either.
taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, all the rest. That's not America first. Like, please define America first in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al Jazeera. It just isn't America first in any conceivable way. So
Al Jazeera is a legitimate media outlet. They are not like a terrorist propaganda organization. If something happens in the Middle East, Al Jazeera English is a great place to get news about it.
The original question, is this good for President Trump? Is it good for his agenda? Is it good for draining the swamp and getting things done? The answer is no, it isn't. It isn't. If you want President Trump to succeed, this kind of skeezy stuff needs to stop. And here's the thing. It's already having an impact. It's already having an impact. Quick example. Last week, the Senate considered a procedural vote on the so-called Genius Act. This is an act that should have had wide bipartisan support. The Genius Act helps deregulate the crypto industry, an area that's vital for America's economic development. As y'all
I'm sorry, you called it the genius. I'd call it the Sucker Act. I'd call it the Rug Pull Act of 2025.
know, I'm a big fan of crypto. I own Bitcoin, some Ethereum. If you want to watch me explain why crypto is fascinating and useful, check out my YouTube video on the subject. And I know a ton of people in the crypto industry who've been ecstatic about President Trump's deregulatory approach to the subject, which is awesome. But the bill was shot down last week because, at least in part, Democrats said they wouldn't vote for the thing because of President Trump's use of crypto himself. You all remember President Trump launching $Trump crypto 3 days before taking office as president. Trump himself announced the Trump crypto on X and Truth Social. He described it as a meme coin, meaning it had no inherent value. It was just there for the kind of bleeps and giggles. The price spiked to a trading value of nearly $13 billion, making it the 19th most valuable cryptocurrency on planet Earth. And then it proceeded to plummet, like really, really dive. The project allegedly netted people associated with it, meaning the Trump organizations associated with the Trump crypto, some $350 million. 80% of the outstanding supply of that meme coin is still held by insiders, presumably members of the Trump organization. Overall, according to data shared with CNBC, there were 2 million wallets that bought that Trump meme coin. 764,000 of them lost money. 58 wallets made more than 10 million bucks. And then in April, that Trump meme coin announced that the top 220 holders of the meme coin would be invited to an intimate private dinner with President Trump at his golf club.
Yo, that's bribery. This is he's calling it skeevier. This is just straight up. This is just like, here, bribe the president. Wait, no, actually the president's going to scam you. But if you hold these meme coins during the rug pull, you can go have dinner with him and fucking First Lady Ivanka.
IP White House tour. According to Bloomberg News, 19 of the top 25 holders of that Trump meme coin that have registered on the website's leaderboard have bought the coins using foreign exchanges that claim to exclude U.S. customers, which means that foreigners are buying a lot of the meme coin and then getting meetings with President Trump, like VIP White House tours and all the rest.
That's not necessarily true. Many Americans use foreign exchanges. These are not like the most reputable groups in the world.
Question of influence peddling. If you basically buy a bunch of Trump meme coin and then funnel money to organizations associated with President Trump so that you can have dinner with Trump, that doesn't look great. Democratic senators, of course, immediately announced that they wanted an ethics probe. They sent a letter saying, quote, this latest action raises grave ethics and legal concerns, including the severe risk that President Trump and other officials may be engaging in pay-to-play corruption by selling presidential access to individuals or entities to include foreign nationals and corporate actors with vested interests in federal action while personally enriching the president and his family.
Yeah, we like our corruption to be all American.
It might be overstated, but let's be clear. Some people do seem to be investing in the Trump meme coin for the access. I mean, there was literally a CEO of a company called Freight Technologies that just bought $20 million worth of Trump meme coin, which I got to say is not like the most solid investment. What was the explanation? Quote, we believe the addition of the official Trump tokens are an excellent way to diversify our crypto treasury and also an effective way to advocate for fair, balanced, and free trade between Mexico and the United States. So like to impact policy. Again, not the least skeezy thing I've ever heard. Now, listen, maybe all of this is overblown. Maybe it's all nonsense. Maybe some of it's not true. And I understand some of it's being reported by legacy media outlets. But again, here is...
Wait, that doesn't make it not true. You just cited CNBC. What do you mean? Just the mere fact that it's being reported by a legacy media outlet isn't... That's the ad hominem fallacy, right? Like, you're NBC, therefore I can't trust you. That's literally the ad hominem fallacy. We don't talk about that shit much here because it's like annoying people on Twitter and Reddit to talk about it. But that's literally the ad hominem fallacy. It's nothing to do with the reporting. Nothing to do with the claims. It's just like your legacy media. So what you're saying isn't true.
Does any of this help advance the president's agenda? You know, the agenda that we all voted for, the agenda we want to see.
You're a mark. Your name is Ben, but you're a mark. Motherfucker's agenda has always been enriching himself, his family, and his cronies.
He implemented. Does this make his presidency stronger or weaker? Now I'm going to repeat again. I don't know whether this activity is criminal in any way, but things do not have to be criminal to hurt the agenda. If you want President Trump's agenda to succeed, taking jets from Qatar is not the way. Taking real estate deals from Qatar is not the way. The largest obstacle to any administration is scandal. From Watergate to Whitewater, scandal-plagued administrations have a really tough time gathering the political capital necessary to actually effectuate their agenda. And that's why it's unbelievably important that the Trump administration avoid scandal. That is the reason I'm worried about this stuff. Yes, I think inherently it is bad.
It's important that the Trump. Can you imagine getting on a show that hundreds of thousands of people are going to watch and say that the Trump administration needs to avoid scandal? Like, the fucking balls.
But I think if we switch the names to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, we'd all be freaking out on the right. Let's say if Qatar was giving Joe a $400 million jet for his use at his presidential library after his presidency, or if Hunter launched a crypto firm with the son of Antony Blinken and then launched a series of crypto products in which mysterious strangers, including foreigners, were investing, all while that crypto firm was being regulated by Joe's administration, we'd all have been pretty upset on the right. We might have said that it was worthy of some coverage. Now, as I say, again, it could be all of these reports are all of them. Maybe it's all just a misreading of perfectly innocent business. Sure, it's possible. But the point is this. President Trump has enemies all over the place. He has people seeking to take advantage of their proximity to his power. He has media outlets that would love nothing better than to set him up for another impeachment. And I promise you, if these issues begin to dog his administration, Republicans will lose Congress. It's that simple. Republicans are this close to losing Congress anyway. And then, whatever President Trump hopes to do.
Oh, don't worry. The Democratic Party will snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Ben's right here that if this assumes the Democratic Party is like a functional political party that knows how to exercise power and use leverage when it has it. That's not the Democratic Party. They're going to punch left and be like, trans people, never heard of them, and they're going to fucking lose again.
Agenda we all voted for will be DOA. The investigations will never end. There will be more impeachments. All of that will happen. The administration's policy is too important for this sort of activity. President Trump promised to...
Ben, what policy are you talking about? Is the policy of this administration to enrich Donald Trump, his family, and his associates? That is the policy.
Is not, in fact, draining the swamp. President Trump was elected based on the American people being sick and tired of the swamp, tired of Hunter, tired of the Clintons, tired of the Biden crime family. Why in the world would President Trump be well served by this sort of vulnerability? Again, more importantly...
Because he rug pulled people to the tune of $300 million, Ben. That's why he did the crypto thing. Some other foreign leader offered him a fucking jet, and he was like, fuck yeah, I want that jet. That's all that's happening here. This is not complicated.
Why would those of us who voted for him, who gave to his campaign, who stumped for him, campaigned for him, be well served by...
You're suckers.
The answer is, we aren't. And that's why it needs to stop.
Yeah, you're fucking suckers, dude. You're suckers. No matter what this motherfucker does, no matter how many of these little fucking things you're like, oh, it's not very good that he's doing this, and it makes me feel like I'm an idiot for supporting him. Come midterm time, these people are all going to be fucking cheerleading this asshole again and being like, can't let the fucking Dems have Congress because it'll stop Trump's agenda. Well, what's Trump's agenda? So far, it seems like a rug pull, taking bribes from the Qataris and the brown shirts. So I guess like that's the agenda. I don't know what this guy thinks the agenda is supposed to be. Does he not know who the president is? What kind of person that is? Like what their goals have always been in their life? Donald Trump, his entire life, has used any power that he has to enrich himself, enrich his friends, and to a lot of times shit on poor and black and brown people. He just has. That's been his thing. That's his thing. I don't know what to tell you. This is all Barack Obama's fault for making fun of him at the White House press club dinner one night. Anyway, Laura Ingraham and her friends are not fans of the tariffs.
Your friend, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, worked in Obama administration and for Clinton, of course, had some comments on CNN today about the deal. Watch.
It's President Trump who blinked. China didn't make any consequential or significant change. Sometimes it's good to blink. When you make a mistake, it's usually best to correct it and retreat, even if it's a little bit embarrassing. So I applaud the actions that were taken over the weekend. I credit Secretary Bessent for his leadership, which he showed over the weekend.
China expert, now someone you know well, Gordon Chang, also said this is essentially a win for China and that all these Chinese goods are still going to come into our country where ours remain shut out from their markets. Mr. Ambassador, a lot of our friends are skeptical about this. I'm not trying to be a, naysayer here, but
why? Sometimes it's time to say nay, and not just if you're a horse.
Well, again, remember, President Trump, when he imposed tariffs on the world, China just being one part of that, the intent was to
I'm just going to, what we're going to do? We're going to tariff the whole world. That's crazy talk, too. Especially Mexico. I'm sorry. Especially Mexico. But that's a whole nother story. Oh, well, Trump just tariffed the world. All right. Well, it's a good way to get everybody to hate you. Was that the goal?
Tariff levels that drive down the trade deficit. Now, remember, China really was the first target of President Trump in 2018. He imposed...
Wait a minute. If you include having to pay for the tariffs, and the same amount of goods come in, wouldn't that raise the trade deficit because now you got to pay the tariffs? I don't know. I guess the tariffs go. Oh, this is complicated. I wonder how that's calculated. Is it calculated because if you got to pay 30% more for it? I wonder how this is calculated.
Of about 25% on most goods coming in from China, including on steel and aluminum and a host of other high technology products. Those were still in place. Earlier this year, he put on tariffs of 20% on fentanyl. Then he put on the 34%. And to be clear, that 34% could still happen, right? China has now qualified for the pause, and so it has a 10% tariff. It has a 90-day pause to negotiate with them. But if things don't work out, those tariffs can go back up. I think the Chinese are really focused on a deal, and they want to move forward constructively, and that's why they're now able to, have the 10%. But all these measures from before are still in place, and so
you're counting
when I hear
those.
People,
yeah. So you're to be clear, you're counting.
Well, they apply.
Right. Of course they are,
yes.
And we support them 115%. We support them, but
is that just how much the tariff should be? 115% on what? Who cares?
You're counting that when you get to 50, you're counting the old tariffs that were in place that Biden didn't lift, correct?
That's right, because we have a host of measures in place on China. That's exactly right. And so when you look at the world, President Trump has imposed significant tariffs on China, substantially more than they have. And this exercise over the past weekend
that's because they're not crazy. They're just people that are in China, and most of them aren't crazy. People don't like Xi Jinping or whatever, and he is an autocrat. Homeboy isn't crazy. He knows to just ride this out.
That reciprocal tariff matter where the Chinese escalated so quickly and the president matched them. All the other measures, we have a lot of complaints about China. They have things we do, they don't like. Those are things to discuss in the future potentially.
Our goal is to get jobs in this country. President Trump's goal, jobs in this country, and reduce that trade deficit. So that's what we've been focused on I have for like 25 years. So this is what I care about deeply, deeply. Now, it's unclear.
Homegirl, I've never heard her. We've watched a lot of clips of Laura Ingraham on this show. I've never heard a homegirl say shit about trade deficits.
Mr. Ambassador, in the announcement today, whether China has lifted or has pledged to lift restrictions on its exports of things like rare earths, magnets, other industrial
magnets,
goods,
how do they work? Well, they work because they come from China.
That are essential for U.S. manufacturers to have access to. What's the story about those? Because people keep asking me specifically about the magnets and all of those other critical.
I just want to know how they work.
Yep, the Chinese, they have agreed to remove those countermeasures. So when the administration put the 34% on China, China retaliated with 34% plus other countermeasures like the kinds you talked about. And therefore, our mission this weekend was not only to get the tariffs down to a more rational rate, but also to require the Chinese to remove their countermeasures, which they've agreed to do. And guess what? If they don't do those things, we're going to be back in a different situation. But I expect they will remove them.
So I just thought about how stupid this is, right? You're like, oh, well, we want to build up our manufacturing base. We want to be able to make this, that, or the other thing. So let's say that a rational government wants to do that. They want to maybe make more stuff at home, which is fine. That's a reasonable thing for a country to endeavor to do. You would think that when that's happening, that you would try to negotiate lower barriers to trade with other countries, because you might need some equipment that they make to put your factory there, right? Like, it's not like there's a 3D printer somewhere in the United States that just spits out a chip fab, or any number of things. We'll say a chip fab. No, you got to buy a bunch of shit, and a lot of that shit comes from China. And if some of it comes from Germany or Finland, well, you just slapped a tariff on them too. So now all that shit's going to cost more, and it's going to fucking slow everything down. You might piss off some company or some country that provides some piece of equipment you need, and they might just be like, nah. Nope. Sorry, we're out of that. If you were going to do this, I don't like the idea of all these tariffs anyway. I think it's better for the world when people trade with each other. I know. I'm living out a little bit here. But if you were going to do this, wouldn't you build the factories first and then put the tariffs on foreign goods? I don't know. All right, this is Jessica Tarlov on the 5. She continues to be a pretty okay shit lib. Maybe we can get her on the show sometime if we actually get popular around here.
47's riding high in the polls after delivering a Middle East masterclass, Jessica, bringing home trillions in new U.S. investments from the Gulf states.
What is he doing?
Still found time to
buying shit for Donald Trump isn't an investment.
Bruce Springsteen's overseas meltdown, where the boss called him corrupt and treasonous. Trump saying Bruce is, quote, just a pushy, obnoxious jerk who fervently supported crooked Joe Biden. This dried out prune of a rocker is...
Dude, Bruce Springsteen looks great for his age. Dried out prune. Excuse the shit out of you. Man, I don't like to talk about how people look, but look at how Donald Trump look.
Atrophied, ought to keep his mouth shut until he gets back into the country. And as he battles aging rockers, Trump's giving a lesson in humility on his Mideast tour.
I'm just thinking, we have a president of the United States doing the selling. Do you think Biden would be doing it? I don't think so. But it's so important.
Dude, those people are fucking playing you. Those people are playing the president of the United States. All these motherfuckers, they're all playing this guy. I'm not a super good manipulator, but if I had some power and something this guy wanted, boy, howdy, I would fucking play this guy.
I have to be a cheerleader for our country. That's why our country is doing so well. You know the sad part? Whoever's next president, let's just say whoever's the next president is going to say, what a great job they did. Look, I built all these plants. I built all these factories. Can you imagine? I'll be sitting home.
But no, it takes forever to build this stuff. And okay, you don't just need a factory. I hate this. This is you need the supply chain. If you build, let's say they build a chip fab, right? Somewhere. I don't know where they're trying to build a chip fab. Is it like Kentucky? I think it's Kentucky. I don't know. But that's great, but you don't got, okay, now you can make some ARM chips. Or maybe you're making some GPUs. Who's going to put those on a board?
Where I'll be and I'll say, I did that.
All right, Jessica, masterclass. It's not really in dispute. So my question to you is, how big of a masterclass was this?
Not in dispute at all. Approval rating bump. That's real life. I live and die by the polls, but That is directly related to him cleaning up his own tariffs mess. So that's moving from the 145% tariff on China to just 30%, where, you saw the CEO from Walmart, I presume, saying that the prices are going to go up. So we'll wait for that. And while we were in the commercial.
Yeah, but the CEO from Walmart just is like chomping at the bit, right? Let's say the tariffs, it's not like a 1-to-1, right? I don't know what it is. Let's say the tariffs cause the prices to go up 20%. Right, just sort of organically, to the extent that the economy can work organically. Then the Walmart's like, well, we can squeeze another 3 or 4% off, 3 or 4 percentage points off the top of that, blame it on the tariffs and pocket the money, because that's what they're going to do. Because of course they are.
Moody's downgraded our credit for the first time in the agency's history. So all good news all around, masterclass. In terms of the big headlines, anytime that we're not talking about the $400 million bribe that he's taking from the Qataris and the jet is a good one. But
it's been around forever.
What?
It's been around forever, that so-called bribe. They were talking to the Biden administration about it.
Yeah, and who didn't take it? Joe Biden. And who did
we
take
got it for
Donald
free.
Trump.
Biden would probably buy it, give it to Hunter.
Hoodles. He has all of the
What is he talking about?
headlines, right? We're getting all of this investment, like the $8.5 billion.
And what if the United States, you would think that if you're procuring a new Air Force One, that you would want to buy it from somebody and not have some other country give it to you as a gift. You just want to buy a brand new one off the fucking factory floor because you're going to have to retrofit the fucking thing anyway. Like, what are they talking about?
Out of Qatar for Texas energy company McDermott. That was already announced in 2023 and 2024. Abu Dhabi, he says, a new $200 billion. That's a cloud computing deal with Amazon, also announced during the Biden administration. Saudis allegedly giving us $600 million. We haven't billion. I'm sorry. Haven't documented all of it, but we do know that the airport project was announced last August. So the Washington Post has documented all of this, that at least a half a dozen of the contracts that he's talking about happened under the Biden administration. And that is something that Trump likes to do. He likes to show up and then take credit for things that
what about the other half?
People did. The other half, I'll give it to you. $300 billion of the $600 billion. But don't go out there and say you got $1.4 trillion in investment when you didn't really. Or at least give a nice, signal to the previous guy and say, hey, actually,
there is
Joe,
no previous guy.
There is no previous guy. He's dying of cancer, don't you know? We didn't cover that. That's like a kind of breaking news, and it's not in our lane. But I don't love Joe Biden or whatever, but I wish him and his family well. And if he does pass of cancer, I hope he doesn't suffer, because that's the horrible part of cancer, is the suffering. Once you're dead, you don't have cancer anymore. You're not there to realize it. And we got two Gutfelds, and it's just like Gutfeld. What? These are just what? Here he is talking shit on Bruce Springsteen again.
The boss is getting his TDS on. Bruce Springsteen delivered a fiery speech against President Trump while on tour in Europe.
God, he looks great.
The America I love, the America I've written about, that has been a beacon of hope and liberty for 250 years, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous.
And then there's the Democrats' weird impeachment guy.
Even some Democrats have called me lunatic, just like the president has called me lunatic. But they have never said, nobody has said to me, Mr. Tanadar, the 7 articles of...
this Shri guy, I've been hearing that this guy's a little bit of a whack job too. We're going to have to take maybe a closer look at him.
That you presented to the U.S. Congress, their piece...
Dana, Bruce Springsteen, we'll get to him in a minute. You're a fan, right?
Don't you remember what I said on my birthday?
What did you say?
That my unpopular opinion is that he's overrated.
Oh, that's right.
No, but I mean, obviously, I like one song. Just kidding. What I don't love is...
Bruce's music isn't really for me, but he is one of the most successful music artists of my generation, Generation X, right? He's, I think, older than us, but like it was Gen X, like young people that got into his music.
Is, for example, we have had stories about Rosie O'Donnell, right? So you can praise her for saying, oh, well, at least she finally followed through on that and went off and moved to Ireland and wants to be on TV. So Bruce Springsteen, first of all, I never go to a concert and want a political lecture.
Right.
Ever.
What are you talking? What kind of concert are you? I don't want any politics in my art. This person, what?
I don't go to Broadway for political lectures or anything. I don't watch movies for political lectures. And I would just.
What? So you must not really be a connoisseur of the arts.
Prefer not to have that. But then you heard the reaction from the crowd. And I really dislike it when an American would go over and do that, especially when the president's overseas. I also would say the same if a pop star did that or a rock star did that about Joe Biden when he was president.
No, you wouldn't.
I just think it's wrong. I wouldn't.
But you're not going to find music artists from America who viscerally hate Joe Biden the way that Bruce Springsteen and many other music artists viscerally hate Donald Trump. You're just not going to find it.
He probably wouldn't do that in New Jersey or anywhere here because all of his fans would hate it.
Yeah, he would get booed. Yeah, so he's playing to the crowd. The other thing is on Mr. Impeachment Man.
Yes.
I think about the Democrats who are standing behind him holding the signs, and they just got smacked down so badly by the people in their own party and how far away we are from the previous Trump administration. And also after all of the trials that he had to go through in the last 4 years, like here in New York, it fell flat. This guy was openly attacked by other Democrats. And here's a prediction, because we like predictions. I bet the Democrats find a way to primary this guy and he will not be in office in 2026, after 2026.
Greg, happy TDS Thursday.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you get me anything?
Not yet.
All right.
Oh, Bants. They got Bants.
Again, Trump has annexed the territory of common sense. And you have the Dems outside looking in, and they're convinced that it's just better to keep moving left than it is to just come join the fun, join the party because they hate Trump so much. And they're getting, by doing that, as you see with Springsteen, who is a pussy for doing that in the country and not doing it in America. He is I already said it. Yes.
Wait, what? I don't like that kind of gendered slur. I try not to use it. Bruce Springsteen's a rich guy. It's not like he's going around getting in bar fights, right? So I don't know. I don't even think we really need to address that. The dude's a music artist. And he's generally, even though he's a rich guy, he's generally been an advocate for the working class. Some of it's a little problematic, and, he's even copped to a little bit about it, that his music's pretty focused on the white working class. But, who amongst us doesn't make mistakes? Also, it's music. What he is singing what he knows. Anyway, here we go. Gutfeld again. Oh no. Here's Gutfeld on the plane. Not on the plane yet, but he'll probably get on the plane. Here's him talking about the plane.
All right, Greg Gutfeld, without sneezing.
Yes.
Can you give us a brilliant point?
I have hay fever. Or is that hay fever?
I think it's a really bad allergy.
Where's Jessica?
It's interesting. Why does the world respond to Trump in a way that confuses Western media? It's because the world wants what he has and the media doesn't. They understand aspirational goals, like you said. To them, Trump is a possibility machine.
Where in the world are the opinion polls of Donald Trump good? I think it's like Russia and a couple of the old Soviet bloc countries. And I think that's it.
If you're going to meet him, you better meet him, because you never know what you might get out of him. But there was no sense of hope with the Democrats, not when your hood ornament was a decomposing bureaucrat. What were you going to get out of that? I'm old enough to remember when the media was telling us Trump was a global laughing stock. Might have been
he is.
weeks ago, I think.
He just got played by these people. They're like, oh, we're going to give you a plane.
Giving him jets before they were giving Joe Biden transfusions. Doesn't seem that people are treating him like a laughingstock. They're legitimately excited. They are alive around Trump. So it's another one.
So he's like, oh, they didn't bribe the last guy. The last guy, they got a blood transfusion.
Media lies. We're sick of talking about the media's lies, but you got to ask, is the media sick of their constant losing? Their framework, their framing, which they use to perceive reality, keeps leading them to defeat. Every day, they think something's going to happen, and it doesn't happen. TDS is a lousy filter to perceive life. The election, trade, immigration, the Maryland man,
The Maryland man, they mean a man in Maryland who was deported without due process.
The Dems are ritually humiliated, and it's because of their filter. For Trump, doing big things is easy because we aren't stuck reinventing basic principles. You know, he says, let's work on a peace deal. Let's get rich. It's not, let's push trans awareness in Malaysia. You want a laughing stock? You know, the world's greatest country was going around the world questioning biology. These countries don't have the luxury or the time for that.
Wait, what?
They want peace and prosperity, not drag queen story hour. We were the laughing stock under Biden, and now it's all back to normal.
Biden wasn't super popular globally, but he was way more popular than Trump.
And winning. So my advice to Dems is if you see something...
And the Democrats didn't lean into that stuff during the election, and I think it might have cost them the election.
You got to ask yourself, what does that person have that you don't have? That's how you learn. You run into people your entire life and you wonder, man, they got it figured out. It's one thing you look at Trump, he's got it figured out. They see it, we see it. Those are the people that should guide you. The problem with the Dems is their delusional assessment of Trump. Can't explain his success, and they also can't predict it. So they pin their hopes every morning waking up that he's going to fail. And every morning they're disappointed and they get more miserable and they get more desperate. I don't see any hope for them.
Like they used to hope that the judicial system was going to solve their problems for them.
Well, having 3 co-equal branches of government is supposed to solve the problem of the president acting like a dictator. That's legitimately what the 3 branches of government are supposed to be there for. And the homeboy isn't winning. He keeps getting rolled by these people. He got rolled by Xi, these fucking Qatari, like, sultans or whatever they are. These guys are scamming him. You better bet these guys are scamming him, because why wouldn't you? It's easy. Here we go. Here's Sean Hannity. You know, the $400 million plane. It's a small price to pay relatively for what we're offering them.
Let me go to Cindy, great state of Texas. Cindy, how are you? Glad you could be with us in Qatar. And what a sight I'm looking at as I look at this city with bright lights and a vibrancy that is really amazing, actually.
Well, I just don't understand how come anybody hasn't. I mean, everybody's freaking out over him.
Fucking after 9/11, he was probably Sean Hannity was probably saying we should bomb Qatar.
A gift whenever nobody has even mentioned the fact that, you know, there could be a GPS system on this new plane. They could be trying to find out secrets.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking, this is a fucking mass. And in addition to the fact that it's totally unethical and it's a bribe, it's also going to cost more probably to go through this fucking plane and make sure that there aren't like massive security problems with it. Then they're going to save by not just buying a plane off the fucking showroom floor.
And I'm sure President Trump is smart enough to dissect the whole thing and break it all down. And why can't we just be grateful that, okay, let's run with this, see what happens. Worst case scenario, we sell it all for parts.
I'm sorry, what? So you take the plane, you spend a bunch of money going through it, you start to find surveillance equipment in the plane, then you just part it out on eBay. Fuck it, part the plane out on eBay. What the shit is this person talking about?
Look, the Air Force One, and I have the honor of traveling as, you know, and reporting on what's going on this trip. And this is the president's, you know, first foreign trip in a second term. And it's a 40-year-old plane. And it's kind of hard to, you know, think that America has a 40-year-old plane for the president of our country.
Why?
When I was leaving Saudi Arabia, I did notice...
Is it well maintained? Have all the parts almost been replaced on it? What is it? Is the Air Force One's a 747, right? Like, they're still making parts for that plane. I bet that thing, all the parts have been fucking replaced.
The Gulf states that were there, and I did notice the planes of other states in the Gulf, and they were far newer, or seemingly far newer.
Sean Hannity, aircraft expert,
than Air Force One. And maybe it sounds egotistical, and if it does to people, that's fine. But I think the president should have the best, the latest, the greatest, always, because that's just who we are as a country.
No. For this mission or whatever, the object is to have the tried and true plane that has all of the equipment on it that you need. It is not. This is not like, it's not like a car show.
We are the leader of the free world. End of sentence. And as I always say, every single politician, Democrat, Republican, needs to be protected. And I don't care what your political affiliation is. We need to protect elected officials. And I said that back in the Obama years many, many times. I'll say the same thing here is we need the latest, greatest, best technology, knowing that we have enemies that...
What does he think that because the plane itself's manufacture date was 40 years old, that all the fucking stuff inside it is 40 years old and that it doesn't get it isn't constantly being retrofitted, upgraded, new equipment being put on it? What does he think is happening here?
And our president. So I think it's fine. Now, there's a bigger issue in play here, too. And I brought this up last night on TV. I brought it up on this radio show yesterday. And the amount of protection that is provided to Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE is incalculable.
Protected from who?
Not only do we sell them? And you'd say, well, we're just selling them military equipment. It's not that we're selling them the military equipment. And I watched, I think they're F-15s, 18s, whatever they were on the side of each wing flying into each country. It's that we are giving them that technology and they wouldn't have anywhere near the security. You can't put a price on that. The last thing.
They're just buying the planes, dude.
Right here in Qatar for the U.S. in terms of the Middle East. The Qataris have spent $8 billion in terms of investing money to build out that base. Nobody ever questioned that money. There is a defense alliance agreement between our two countries that the benefit is far.
But it didn't involve giving the president a plane that he says he's going to put it in his presidential library.
America. And so trust me, it's a small price to pay, relatively speaking, for what we're offering them.
Right. Isn't the power move here from the president to be like, oh, I was over there and I feel like it was a fairly generous offer, but we're obviously not going to take a gift of a plane to replace Air Force One from a foreign government. We'll be fine without their plane. Isn't that like what the power move that like the president's supposed to do there? You maintain good relations and you graciously decline the offer of letting some other country replace your fucking flying Pentagon. It's easy. This was like an unforced error. Up next, how would you turn down such a how could anybody turn down such a great offer?
If we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, "Oh no, we don't want a free plane."
That's not a stupid person thing. It's gonna cost more than you're gonna save,
and it helps us out because again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar.
Like, again, how much does this motherfucker think it's going to cost to go through that every part of that plane?
I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture. And I think it was
So again, like, this is not a free plane. I mean, I know you're not paying for the plane, but they're going to have to go over every fucking square inch of that fucking plane. If they use it, we're not going to use this plane. This is all bullshit too. That's the other thing here is that nothing's going to happen with this, right? This is bullshit. There's no fucking way that homeboy is going to be flying around in this plane they gave him. He's just doing this so that he can say that he got the fucking Sultan or whoever to give him a plane. That's the only thing going on here. And it's dumb as fuck. And crazy enough, we haven't been doing much Rand Paul at all on the show lately. And Rand Paul also doesn't think the president should take the plane.
On the jet, I do think the jet probably sends the wrong signal to people, and I don't like the look or appearance of it, so I would hope that he would reject it. The Constitution specifically says you can't take gifts from foreign leaders. It doesn't say you can't take gifts unless they're going to be for, official use. We also do a lot of business with Qatar, and so we sell them a lot of arms. Essentially, the United States is the biggest arms merchant in the world. We sell arms everywhere, and they're lucrative deals for the arms manufacturers, but I have actually tried to hold up arms sales before to both Saudi Arabia and to Qatar because of their human rights records. So I don't know that if we can have an honest appraisal of their human rights record and decisions on arms sales if we're receiving $400 million gifts from a country, so I'm not for it.
No shit. Yeah. Like, remember when he gave you that plane because you're so great? Yeah, that's how this is going to play out, dude. Obviously. Like, yes, of course. Like, this, you don't even have to think about it very long. It doesn't matter who the president is. This is what they're trying to do. This is fucking mafia shit, kind of. So, of all people in the world, Laura Loomer had criticized Trump for accepting the plane, and Alex Jones not too happy about that.
I can spend an hour on this, but I got a lot of the news hit next hour. Let's just hit it quickly. Here's the corporate headlines out of Drudge, it means Democratic Party. Qatar gifts jet to Trump. Palace in the sky. Is it a crime? And no, the law is being followed. He's been trying to get a new aircraft for the last 8 years. They admit the old one, there's two of them, is falling apart. Air Force One, the main one.
Air Force One is not falling apart.
Back up. And so Qatar goes, okay, well,
it's so not falling apart that they have a duplicate of it.
This is the U.S. government. They're like, oh my God, it's criminal. They're paying him off, on and on. Trump administration poised to accept Palace in the Sky as gift from Trump.
Oh, he mentioned, he pulled up Drudge, right? And he's like, the corporate media, these people fucking hate the Drudge Report. They used to use the Drudge Report as one of their primary news sources until fucking the editorial staff at Drudge decided they don't like Donald Trump.
This is Trump's response. So the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One.
Also, how old is the aircraft that they're giving us? Like, what, did they never use it?
Temporarily is a very public and transparent transaction. So bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do.
I mean, you buy it. You buy the fucking thing from the manufacturer. Yeah. It's an American manufacturer too. This all up and down the list of things that's going on here. This doesn't make sense. Isn't the president supposed to do a ribbon cutting on the new Air Force One in front of the Boeing factory or whatever, where the plane was mostly produced, and talk about how this is a wonderful piece of technology and all these great people that work at Boeing and the factory had made the plane? Like, isn't that what the fuck he's supposed to do? Instead of being like, I don't know, the fucking Sultan or somebody gave me a plane. Dumbass.
Are world-class losers. Pam Bondi cooks up brazen scheme to give Trump a free plane. This is how pathetic it is. Boeing now plans to deliver new Air Force One jets in 2027 before Trump leaves office. They were supposed to have them before he got in 8 years ago. They were charging $8 billion. So Trump negotiated it down to just 1.4 billion. Yeah, 1.4 billion. So
no, it saved the Air Force 1.4 billion. Oh God.
So
you're not even reading the article.
I just shut this down. Have the Defense Department pay for the damn thing. $400 million. It's just ridiculous.
But you don't buy a used plane from another country and then fucking put all this sensitive equipment on it and have discussions about classified information on the plane that you just picked up secondhand from another country. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm all for saving a buck and shit, but what the fuck?
Laura Loomer slams Trump over Qatar jet, calls it stain on the presidency. I'm so disappointed. I like Laura a lot, man, but she just doesn't sometimes get it. And it just goes on and on and on.
Well, I like Laura a lot, but sometimes she doesn't. No, even Laura Loomer gets it. mean, she's probably mad that she won't be invited on the plane, which is part of the problem here. But no. Laura Loomer she probably sees what the rest of us are saying. Well, this is a bad idea. I just think that some people in the chat were talking about a free boat. I think it's that situation, right? Where if the U.S. government takes this plane, they're just going to throw so much damn money at it because they have to. Because it's like, even if there's no surveillance equipment on there, which I don't have any real reason to believe there's surveillance equipment on there, but it hasn't set up even properly. It's set up for the use that the Qataris were using it for. It's not set up for the use that the U.S. would use it for. So they're going to have to tear the whole inside of the plane apart. Like, this is going to end up costing hell of money. It's going to be like flip that house where the people lose money on the house. Up next, we got this idiot from Newsmax. I think his name is Finnerty. I haven't seen him much before. If I have, he hasn't been memorable. And homeboy talks about how great it is that Trump's accepting this plane, and then says that if Biden took the plane, he'd be criticizing him.
Yes, which is kind of wild. Once again, the current plane's almost 40 years old. To put that into perspective, again, FDR, if he flew around on a 40-year-old plane at the start of the Second World War, he'd be cruising the friendly skies in the Wright brothers glider from the very first...
Yeah, well, time marches on, weirdo.
Carolina. It was 1903. Do the math. If Spirit or some other low-cost airline was offering really cheap tickets, but the catch was you had to fly on a 40-year-old plane, would you still book that flight? I doubt it.
I mean, maybe.
Wouldn't. My producer Pedro would. He loves Spirit.
Well, you gotta talk shit on Pedro. Pedro's just trying to pay his bills.
So that's where we are right now. Donald Trump posting on Truth Social, the Defense Department getting a gift free of charge, a 747 to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public transaction. But the crooked Democrats insist that we pay top dollar for a plane. Anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers. Take a listen to the president yesterday.
I think this was just a gesture of good faith, and I don't get it. Someday it'll be...
They're like, hey, man, just give them that extra plane we got. Say it's worth $400 million.
Ronald Reagan, they decommission them. You know, they get to a certain age, they decommission them. It'll go to my library. They're talking about going to my library in...
Why would you have a 747 that the Qataris gave you in your presidential library?
Years out, but I thought it was a great gesture, and it's something that was done by Ronald Reagan. They actually decommissioned the plane, and he put it in his library, and it actually has made the library, I think, a Boeing 707.
That's really stupid.
It's actually made the library more successful, so it was good.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't.
Okay, and even Republicans are so jazzed up about this. Ari Fleischer tweeting that Air Force One should be American through and through. It shouldn't pass through foreign hands, and it shouldn't be a gift from a king. Don't.
Yeah, like this goes without saying. Yeah. Yes. So if Boeing's going to have one ready by 2027, does Trump just think he's just going to like get the keys and the pink slip and just fucking fly off in the plane, and now that's Air Force One? Like, how long? Like, somebody's gonna have to do some work on that fucking thing. It's used.
Don't do it. My goodness. Democrats are suddenly so upset at even the hint of a quid pro quo because of something called the Emoluments Clause. Public officials can't accept gifts, but this plane would not be a gift to Donald Trump. It would be a gift to the United States. I will say, I would definitely criticize Joe Biden if he cut the exact same deal.
All right, homeboy. I mean, you know what? I like this guy. He's honest.
And I would criticize Joe Biden if he was about to get a $400 million plane from Qatar to fly around for a couple of years, then donate to his presidential library that no one would go to. I would definitely criticize that move. That would not go unnoticed by this show. But the left never seemed to care when Hunter Biden was appointed to the board of a Ukrainian energy company when his dad was vice president. That didn't seem to bother anyone on the left.
So it's what about? He's like, I have no principles. I am a toady. And I would like to bring up Hunter Biden again. Hunter Biden was charged with crimes, pled guilty, and then was pardoned and That's it. I don't know. I have fucking no idea. That guy's amazing. We're going to have to keep an eye on that asshole. That guy's fucking great. Don't worry, though. Don't worry. Trump is stopping the real genocide that's happening. Check this out.
Who claim discrimination in their home country are heading to the United States, where your administration is going to welcome them as refugees. Now, this comes as you've halted virtually all refugee admissions for people fleeing famine and war from countries like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for Afghaners but not others?
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something. But we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being.
This is like just straight up like white supremacist talking points from the president. Usually, like he's never been like shy about repeating them, but usually he's like a little better at it. This stuff is just straight up like right out of like like it. Does anybody remember this when this was like a bit of a moral panic on the right about farmers and this and that, and then like like the South African media had no idea what anybody was talking about. It was like the there's crime in every country, but it wasn't like there was an epidemic of crime against farmers, specifically white farmers. And if I'm not mistaken, that the kinds of crimes they were talking about were affecting black farmers at per capita rate, basically, according to how many farms each group of people owned. So this is all bullshit. And like, yeah, I don't know. This is dumb. These people are just mad that the fucking apartheid regime got dismantled. I bet Bruce Springsteen, who they don't like, probably played at a couple of the end apartheid fucking concerts way back when. Up next, we got RFK Jr. He spoke in front of the Senate.
You've been unable to answer specific questions. Sir, you are the wrong person for this job. And you had in this hearing today the unmitigated gall to say at the beginning of your testimony that China is ahead of the United States in healthcare because China does not have DEI.
I didn't say that.
Well, we can roll back the tape. You absolutely did
and you will
say
find
that.
I didn't say that.
That is absolutely what you said.
I was talking about science, and I didn't say they're ahead of us. They're ahead of us in some forms of science, certainly not in healthcare.
Well, we can roll back the tape, but nonetheless.
Oh, any country with universal health care, even a country we don't like, is probably ahead of us in health care. Don't worry, friends, there's more. This was great. I almost ran this whole hearing during red light, but I couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't do that to you, and I couldn't do that to myself, especially considering Sunday is basically the end of my work week. And so I've been fucking streaming all week, and I just don't know if I was going to be able to fucking sit through that. Here's more.
Well, then can you name, sir, which office the Safe to Sleep campaign operates out of?
Which campaign?
Well, that's the one that the senator just asked you about 2 minutes ago that prevents babies from dying in their sleep. A 30-year program inside your agency. You would agree that it's important.
I think it's part of HRSA or ACF. It's ACF.
No, actually, it's in Health and Human Services. Yeah. And I think, and again,
no, they're all within Health and Human Services, but the subdivision is ACF.
No, actually, the name of the
Administration of Children and Families.
No, let me tell you what it is. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. This is actually the one that your aunt, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, is the person who it's named after. And you noted just a moment ago, the senator reminded you that although this is a very important agency, prevents babies from dying, this is the same one you fired every single person in this office as of April the 1st.
So I watched a little more of that. The thing is, he's like, oh, we hired him back. We got one more here from this. This is This is wild. This is absolutely a fucking wild hearing. I don't know, like, why. I don't understand any of this. I mean, I guess it's just like they just did this as like a nod to the conspiracy, like the cooked anti-vax coalition. Those people were, I think, kind of crucial to getting liberals to vote for Trump, if I'm being honest here. And so they got to do this.
Hey, I had a town hall. I had a fire captain show up to this town hall, somebody who worked at Ground Zero, and he is somebody who said he was diagnosed with cancer. He said he's on borrowed time, and he was livid, absolutely livid about what he said, the administration gutting the World Trade Center health program. And we've talked through some of these cuts that have happened before, some staff cuts, some maybe brought back on, the administrator cut. I just need to hear from you. I promised this fire captain I'd ask you about this. What in the world happened? Why was the staff cut for this program? What are we to expect going forward?
I restored the staff to that program.
But why was it cut to start with?
It was, it was part of the overall budget cuts. Our agency was asked to make very, very serious budget cuts that were going to be painful, and some of them should not have been made, and that was one that should not have, and I reversed it.
Were you unaware, or were you aware that the decision to cut NIOSH staff would cut that World Trade Center health program?
Well, my agency is the biggest agency in government. It's twice the size of the Pentagon. It represents about 20% of the U.S. economy. We have hundreds of institutes and sub-agencies. We try to be as careful as we can about what we cut and what we didn't. We made a couple of mistakes.
No, I don't think you were trying to be as careful as you can. I mean, that's the problem that we've seen by rushing these decisions. This was, I know, early in your time there.
Senator, I understand. I understand that if you look at this from a distance, you'd say, why don't you just do this surgically and cut one person at a time? This agency has grown so big, so fast, and everybody who comes in says, I'm going to cut it down, and nobody's been able to do it. And there was an understanding that the longer that you wait, the more the inertia kicks in. And we had to act quickly so that we can do something for the American people that is lasting. And we understood that there would be some mistakes made and that we would go back and reverse them when they were made. But it was more important to do decisive action quickly that could eliminate the metastasizing of this agency to, which was growing and growing as our health declined.
So where is this going to land now? Can you tell us right now that the staffing of the World Trade Center health program will go back to where it was before you became secretary?
That program will continue. There will be continuity in that program.
Yo, this is really dumb. He's like, oh, I didn't even know what I was doing, really. We just went in there and just started cutting things. And then when people were outraged, we just uncut the things that people were outraged about. That's not really like, these are supposed to be the best and the brightest and the smartest people and stuff. That's not what a smart person does. This is amazing. And it's just going to get worse, I think. It's going to get worse. And then I think hopefully people are going to get fucking fed up. And then in like a hopeful outlook is that Trump wants so badly to be liked that he may reverse course on a lot of this stuff just because he wants so badly to be liked. And when like Republicans, like his voters essentially start turning on him because of all this stuff, he's going to be like, well, shit, they used to love me. Now they don't. We got to make them love me again. This is my hope. And I think that due to Trump's like personality, that this is sort of likely, but who knows? Anyway, remember we had everybody was all mad about Mayor Pete as the Secretary of Transportation for the United States. Remember when like he took maternity or paternity leave because him and his husband had kids or whatever, and it turns out that when you look back, he did a pretty fucking good job. Nobody's perfect, but he did a pretty fucking good job. Well, here we go. Here's the new Secretary of Transportation. His name is Sean Duffy.
The Congress and the country haven't paid attention to it, right? They expect it to work. And so now I think the lights are blinking, the sirens are turning, and they're saying, listen, we have to fix this, because what you see in Newark is going to happen in other places across the country. It has to be fixed. And so what we're having is some telecom issues, but we're also having some glitches in our software. As the information comes in, it's overloading some of our lines, and the system goes down. So I'll just tell you.
This is crucial information, but this isn't high bandwidth information.
Specifically in Newark, we believe we're going to have it up and running in short order. We're going to be able to fix that glitch, and we feel a little more comfortable about our primary line that gets the data in on radar, and our redundant line is up and working as well.
The primary line that gets this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This could just be bad luck. Right? It's not like, I don't think this guy did it. This could just be bad luck, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is information where the speed at which you get it is very important, sure. But when we think of internet speed, we usually think of bandwidth, right? Like the average person, right? We don't think, oh, well, the first bit of this came in really fast. We don't really think about that. People don't think about ping time, so to speak, that much. They're not sending massive troves of information. What needs to happen is it needs to be there in as near real time as possible, and that's not been happening. He's just incorrect. Again, these people don't know what they're talking about. It's amazing that you would go on TV and not just ask someone. So, I thought this was funny. This is James Comey, and I just thought this was funny.
Wouldn't surprise me at all if that was intentional and they were trying to jizz up some type of coup or some type of insurrection, as Jamie Raskin would say, or whatever.
Yeah.
Look.
Were they trying to jizz up a coup? I hate when that happens to me, actually. I hate when that happens, when I'm just about to get off, and then all of a sudden there's a coup instead. There was a coup in my splooge. It was a coup splooge. My fucking God. Oh, man. All right. Up next, we got Hank Kunneman. These people are all sort of interchangeable. He says that the $400 million jet offer was actually a sign of God's grace. Shout out to Right Wing Watch. Could not do this show without Right Wing Watch and other similar organizations.
But here's the thing, Gene, you're never going to please everybody. And I believe it's just a sign again of just God's favor. And the other thing that I want to say is, if this was the previous administration and that would have happened, boy, the liberal media would have been all over it. Oh, how kind. Oh, this is so amazing. He's worked so hard for it. But no, because Trump is
but I don't think any of the Democratic presidents we've had in our lifetimes would accept this offer. So I don't know what he's talking about. They're all hall monitors, and that's all they are.
But he's having a freak out. And I bet this is just my philosophy. All right. Lastly, in the Bible, Jesus said, hey, go tell a guy that I need 2 of his donkeys that have never been ridden before. And I'm sure some people were upset when they saw the one donkey coming in. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe that Jesus
took a bribe.
There's always somebody that has to criticize, and yet God wants to bless. And I think it's a sign into our country that we are in a great spot right now, that we're going to continue to see more and more things like this coming for as a sign.
Jesus got bribed with a donkey, apparently. What the hell is he talking about? Like I said, a hall monitor ass Democrats would not do this. That's, not a criticism of them, really. It's just like the fact that they don't do anything else but act like a hall monitor is like the criticism. Up next, so we got during a Capitol tour, this is GOP Representative Brian Jack. He was talking to some high school students, and he said, when you turn 18, you could, try to run against me. He's incorrect. You have to be 25 to run for Congress.
Spalding County. Everybody here is from Spalding County. You're in my congressional district. And if I could just start off, who here wants to be a congressman or congresswoman one day? Any show of hands?
None of the kids are raising their hands. Who here wants to be a congressperson? No.
We got 2, 3, 4. Well, the way you do it, right? The way you do it is you usually wait for the seat to come open, but you can challenge anybody you want at any time. So if you want to challenge me when you become 18, you can do it. But before then, as you're thinking about it,
well, 25.
Our congressman announced his retirement in March of December of 2023. So it gave me an opportunity to throw my hat in the ring and give this thing a shot.
So you don't actually have to wait until whoever resigns. You could just run against someone. He is part of a political machine and just waited until it was apparently his turn. Whatever. Last week, the Media Wench, again, did hero's work hosting the show, had some stuff about the woke Pope. I don't even think he's that woke, but here's what the woke Pope has to say to the American people. Check this out.
Father, any message for the United States?
A lot of messages for the United States. That was it. That was the whole clip. Hopefully, I don't give a fuck about the Pope. I was going to say, hopefully this Pope is good. I don't give a fuck about the Pope. Somebody from The Blaze, her name is Sarah Gonzalez. I guess I haven't heard of her yet, but The Blaze is not hiring the best people. Here's Sarah Gonzalez from The Blaze.
And so you look at all of their prominent stars. I don't think that these people are going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle. Like they're not going to, you're going to be like, hey, please just act normal. Can you just, hey, Ilhan Omar, please just act normal. Please, can you please just like, I don't know, maybe take the head thing off and then you might look a little bit more normal, but please just act normal.
Take the head thing. Oh my God. Oh, you're just hell bigoted. All right.
Like, just stop digging in with the DEI and all of the race baiting and just act moderate, please, because we've got.
Lady, I'm sure you got hired because of your skill.
On Mars, we've got the AOCs. We've got all of these people who are like vying to be Jasmine Crockett. You just saw there all of these people who are vying to be the next face of the Democrat Party. And I don't think any of them are going to be able to act right. When it comes time to act right, I don't think any of them are going to be able to control themselves because their entire careers have been made off of the divisiveness, off of the radical nature of what they're saying. And so let's just remind everyone, okay, here's Ilhan Omar basically alienating half the country, talking shit about white people. Watch.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
So she's not wrong if you talk about terrorism and stuff. And half the country actually isn't white men. But
so people should be more fearful of white men.
She doesn't mean like, oh God, I would like to hear more of that interview. She probably means like as a concept or as like a privileged group who has a tendency to try to take what they think is the law into their own hands. So, don't get me wrong. Some of my best friends are, white.
Okay. That's really interesting because when I look at the statistics for violent crimes, there is one demographic that is very heavily represented, even though they are not heavily represented.
Uh-oh. Here it comes.
When it comes to being a majority in the country, they're actually a very small minority, represent a whole lot of the violent crime, but hey, white men bad, right?
Oh, she's not going to say it? Come on, just say it. Just say it.
Crockett, who... honestly, okay, so hold on. Before I play this, Stephen, is she the worst?
No, she's amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, hold on.
She should run
You're
for
right.
president.
You're right. Let me fix
If they're talking about Jasmine Crockett now, she should.
Oh no. Jasmine Crockett is so good at what she does and also scary. I would hate for her to be the new face of the Democrat Party. Was that better?
Yeah, it's better, but I'm not sure I'm buying it.
Wow. Seriously though, is she they're all so bad.
She's the worst because of her background. That she's didn't she go to the best Catholic school in St. Louis?
Yes, all girls Catholic school.
Okay.
But AOC did too.
All right.
AOC had an easy upbringing too, and she went to Boston University. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's the same way. She acts like, oh, I'm from the streets and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to swing my neck around and I'm going to talk like I'm from the streets.
I don't think that's happening.
No, you're not, honey. You're from St. Louis, Missouri's all-girls Catholic school. You're not from the streets. Stop talking like that. And let's play one of her recent videos. Basically, I'll let you decide. I don't want to speak for her. I'll let you decide. It sounds a whole lot to me like she is talking about hitting political opponents with chairs, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. Watch.
There are going to be people that tell you that you don't belong, and I am here to tell you over and over and over that you absolutely belong. There are people that are going to tell you that there is not a table in which there is a seat for you, but I am here to remind you of Montgomery and those folding chairs. Let me tell you.
Let me tell
that we know
you.
how to use a chair, whether we pulling it up or we doing something else with it.
I mean, I just have to ask, like, wouldn't that be embarrassing to you? You are a college graduate, right? You are graduating college. You have just gone to 4 years post high school education, and you
can tell she has no idea what's going on. Those people were there 5 years, 6 years, some of them.
Have a speaker come speak at your commencement, and they don't even use proper English.
Wait, what?
How is that not embarrassing? Like, that's incredibly embarrassing to have spent that much money or have had your parents spend that much money or, you know, the government, but you promise you'll pay them back.
Oh, no, she doesn't like basically like the dialect, like there's like different dialects, different ways that people speak English. She doesn't like the ones that are blackety black, apparently.
Someone comes and she can't even use proper English. I don't know how you're not embarrassed of that, but she's certainly not, because she's embracing this hood rat persona that's not even real. You might have respect for it if it was real, right?
She's a hood rat?
Right, if she was actually from the streets and she worked her way up and she fought for everything that she has. No, she literally was given everything with a silver spoon and then went to her first employer and said, "You got to hire me because I'm black." Don't
Did she do that? What the shit is this lady talking about?
ask me, ask her. She's the one who said the story. So you've got all of these dumbasses leading the party. And you just got to wonder, like, who's actually going to take control? Because you've got AOC. That's another one that we mentioned. Let's look at AOC at a recent Fight Oligarchy rally, demanding, of course, remember, this is how radical they are. The Democrat Party, the machine, is like, please just be normal. Please just be normal. And they're like, no, we want more MS-13 gang members in this country. We want as many as we could possibly have. Bring
but
them
MS-13 came from this country.
back. We miss them. Watch.
And we also demand the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador.
El Salvador.
If we believe in democracy.
Homegirl speaks Spanish. She rolls her R's when she says words that are said in Spanish because she speaks Spanish.
Democracy, he must be returned. It is criminal that he is being held abroad.
We believe in democracy. Oh, yes, these people care about democracy so much.
Things because we do have power in this moment. All of us do. Everyday people do.
I'm sure. So you've got these people just leaning into crazy.
So if I'm not mistaken, her primary criticism here was about how they're talking. One that Jasmine Crockett spoke in, we call it like black dialect, right? Like, and didn't even really lean hard into it. She made fun of like the thing that orators do sometimes where they'll carry out like a word, right? They'll be like, I have seen, you know, it's a fucking famous MLK thing. She made fun of that. And apparently it's bad to, if you are a bilingual person, when you say words that are meant to be said in Spanish, to say them as though you were speaking Spanish, apparently. All right. Well, here's that same Newsmax host we were watching a little while ago. He has a take on the ending of apartheid, the apartheid government of South Africa.
A major political party is calling for killing all the white people in a country.
No. Which country? South Africa? No.
This is what asylum is. We have seen thousands of attacks on these people. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it is. And most of the people who were among the 10,000 who came in were not refugees over the last 4 years. So, and then, ever since the Hart-Quayle Act of 1965 that Ted Kennedy helped push through, we've had almost no immigration from Europeans or the former British Commonwealth. They've been mostly people from Latin America, Africa, and China, which is fine. But we've got so acculturated to the idea that so-called white people will not be immigrating to the United States that we've created this, I don't know what you call it, a covert racism that gets explicit when it actually is actualized. And most of these people who are coming from South Africa were born after the end of apartheid. I mean, we're talking about 40, 30 years ago, and most of them, it's this idea of collective guilt that every single person there was a member of a racist society is not true. And it's a new South Africa. They passed a law, as we know, last year that said that the government could appropriate farmland without compensation. And then everybody in the West on the left said, well, they're only going to do it for public purposes, but no,
but that's what the law says. It's not entirely different to some of the United States' laws as far as eminent domain goes. And most people who this has happened to have been compensated for their land.
Purposes could cover almost anything. So and I think what South Africa is looking at is they're looking at Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, where they expropriated the land and it went from one of the greatest.
They're looking at Rhodesia where they expropriated the land. Oh my fucking God.
Food exporters per acre in the world.
To famine.
Starving.
Yeah, just to starving. Yeah, and then that's exactly the point. Zimbabwe that's 25 years ago. They can't even look that far to see it. The politicians don't understand. I think that the end of apartheid in South Africa is going to end up being a liability. The irony of that.
Whoa.
For the country, but do you think that
whoa, dude, fucking calm down, man.
Going to flee the country, because if that happens, the country collapses.
Most of them have been there 9 and 10 generations. They have been there than the majority of the population that came in, from other countries that were not.
The majority of the population is black in South Africa. I guess it depends who you think are people. And I guess when you work at the fucking Hoover Institute, it's, your definition of who's people might be a little different than mine.
White. They've been there since the 17th century.
Right.
And I don't think 9 generations, a lot of them are not going to leave. They're going to stay to the bitter end. But some of them that are younger probably will, that are not tied to the land, or they don't own farms, or they're in businesses. Because
most people don't own farms. Most people are not farmers. South Africa is like a modern nation where most people live in the city.
Let's be honest. We went from white racist apartheid to black racism in South Africa. Everybody knows it's true. And when Don Lemon or the people in The View talk like they do, and somebody hears them, they have no idea how they sound, but they sound like utter racists. He's angry because of the color of the skin of the people who are threatened. And he didn't say a word when 10,000 people came in because they weren't white. So he's a racist.
Wait, what?
He knows he is.
No, like literally letting these people in based on this set of lies is a nod to a white supremacist propaganda operation. Like, I don't know how to be more clear about this.
On The View that have commented on this. I think it's incumbent upon everybody to tell the truth and say that these people are racist.
Yeah. They are. They're just allowed to be. That's the difference. They're allowed to be.
So, maybe you don't believe the crime stats from the government. That's reasonable. But there's no evidence that white farmers are disproportionately victims of crime compared to their black counterparts. There's crime in countries, and there's violent crime in countries. And sometimes in rural areas, it's, maybe you think it's a little easier to commit a violent crime because you're farther away from anybody who might stop you. This is all bullshit. There's been so much good reporting on this. Like, there's just been amazing reporting done on this. First thing that comes to mind, I think, is a ProPublica article, one of the first major news organizations. The article, I think it was 10 years ago or 8 years ago, just laid it all out and just sort of made it clear what was going on here. This law that they're talking about is not dissimilar to laws about eminent domain. And there are situations where you're not compensated, but that's because you've abandoned the land. And there are laws in the United States that are similar to that, where if you've abandoned a piece of land, the government will expropriate it and not pay you for it. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it. Up next, I thought Jim Baker was dead, but it turns out that I was just confusing him with Pat Robertson. Jim Baker is still broadcasting, and he needs you to give him money to usher in the coming of the Lord.
There's a possibility that we're going to have an atomic bomb dropped in this country within 2 years. Maybe.
Wait, I mean, that's always a possibility, I suppose.
Sooner. We are facing a very difficult financial time.
Yeah.
And I'm asking
the country, the ministry, everything. Yeah.
God's people. I'm asking for 1,000 people to give $1,000.
Amen.
To keep this ministry.
That's a mill. That's a millie. He's just asking. He's like, y'all should just give me $1 million.
On the air.
Amen.
And we have, I think, the greatest prophets in all on this program.
Amen.
No TV show has the people we have. Perilous times are here. You're going to see bombs drop in the next few months.
No, I hope not. My God, please no. I don't want nuclear weapons being dropped on anyone.
On some of the countries and even ours. So be aware and stay tuned, because Jesus is coming and we're here to talk about.
Well, why didn't you stop the bombs?
And when I was 19 years old, one of the great prophets of that time prophesied over me that I would help usher in the coming of the Lord.
Yeah, but that was just random prophecy number 7 that he gives. All right, we got a couple more before we go into red light here. This one's not great. This is Joe Rogan. Shout out to the No Rogan podcast, by the way. I just started listening to that. It's pretty good. The people running that podcast are great, though, so that shouldn't surprise anyone. So here's Rogan talking about Yee's pro-Hitler song, which is, you'd think that this is a gimme, right? That this is a easy W. You can be like, oh, I think maybe people misunderstand him as a person, but you shouldn't do this song. Nope, not what's going to happen here. Check this out.
Speaking of the Jews, have you seen fucking Kanye's new song? Bro.
Whoa.
Bro.
What is
what?
Here.
Did he just?
Speaking of the Jews, have you seen fucking Kanye's new song? Bro.
What is
what?
Here's the thing.
What?
My
First of all, kind of catchy. But this is also the bad part. It's the fucking song has so many millions of hits.
Yeah.
On Twitter. It's been banned from every platform.
Yeah.
But is it good to ban things from platforms, or is it better to let it be out there and let people talk about it? Because if you ban it, then people want to hear it more.
That's true.
And then it becomes more popular, and then it kind of supports what he says, which is that there's this concerted effort, if you talk about Jewish people, that they're going to remove you from everything, remove you from banking, which is what he's saying. They run everything. Mm-hmm. So if they didn't, if it was just you were talking shit about Puerto Ricans, look what happened to Tony. Nothing.
Yeah.
He's doing great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there's certain people that you're allowed to pick on and make jokes about or mock or
oh no, he's doing the Nazi thing where it's if you want to know who has power over you, find out who you can't criticize.
And you can get away with it.
Yeah. Well, I think he's made his point. I think we all get it now.
It's never going to end. Speaking of the Jews, have you seen?
Oh my God. Yeah, fucking yikes. Fucking yikes. I guess speaking of hip hop, rap music, this is Michigan State Representative Josh Shriver. He's a rapper apparently, and we have two clips of him rapping.
Ice on grass in April, nonetheless I'm thankful. Separate my station, connected to the I am. Micro, macro, Jesus saved us. His death was gracious, the grave was makeshift. Temporary staycation, meso minus, more or less. Eternal playa.
Does not slap.
Jesus wept when I die. I arrive, heaven's gate. Jesus' name, free from pain. He's to blame, no thanks to me. Mass contact, his majesty is unmatched. His faculties are intact. No back roads, no highways. Straight narrow, always. Keep me, seek me. I seek you, I need you. Like my food, you're my drink. You're my peace, you're my creed. Sure, I'm least. I was cursed, now I'm free. I will work, you're my deed. I'm a learned personal being. You were birth, usurp me. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy.
Oh my God.
You're worthy, you're worthy.
There's a reason I don't run clips before, and that right there. The reason I didn't run that before is I just didn't want to hear it before. That was quite bad. Here is the another piece of hip hop by Michigan State Rep Josh Shriver.
I just took some pre-workout. I guess that means that I should lift. Faithfulness replaces doubt. In this life you'll have some dips. I can stop myself from doing what I ought not do. Self-control is what the Holy Spirit will produce.
You've got to call on your God. You've got to call on your God.
Oh no.
You've got to call on your God. You've got to call on your God.
I'm not talking crazy. Cracker the day like AV. Jesus came to save me. Shout out to the AP. Get your credits done before you turn 18. Go to Ivy League. It's okay to read.
I might just have to go walk a bella. I might just have to go ahead and let it rip.
What did you come to do? What did you come to do? Aw, shucks, you didn't have to bring any food. I've come to let it rip. We're in a predicament. We've all sinned.
We're in a predicament right now. That is correct.
How can we make amends? Jesus died, then he rose again. It's not a lie. It's good news, my friend.
The good news is the gospel, and the gospel is Jesus Christ. He came and he died and he rose again. If you don't believe, then I'm not really sure why, and I don't think that you could even have a good reason.
Man, he missed the line there where he said, if you don't believe it, I don't know why, and I guess we shouldn't be friends. He couldn't even fucking come up with that line. All right. In related news, apparently this is from Facebook, so I don't know what's going to happen. Well, we'll just say in related news.
So apparently SoundCloud has been feeding artist data to an AI algorithm since 2024. So you know what that means? It is now our social responsibility to make as much crappy music as possible and upload it all to SoundCloud. And with that, I introduce a new series called Uploading Crappy Music to SoundCloud to Confuse Its AI Algorithm. My dear sweet audience, I present to you my first anti-banger.
I could drink like 50 gallons of piss. No one can drink more piss than me.
This is better than the thing we just listened to.
Champion of 2025 2024, 2023. Every single year, I drink more piss than you. Woo! Piss!
So apparently SoundCloud has been...
Friends, that was way better than the fucking Jesus thing that we were listening to before. Like, clearly much better. Also, you know, a little bit of a nod to Christopher Key, which is fantastic. So, we got one more, and we usually end the show with some IDW freaks, and this is not going to disappoint. Well, it's going to be disappointing. Here's Brett and Heather talking about cancer.
Cancer treatment seemed like a brute force to me. If you'd asked me 10 years ago. Yeah, I'll go with 15 years ago. It seemed like a brute force approach, having at that point really having not known anyone close with cancer. A brute force approach that clearly we could be doing better, but was by and large the best we could be doing. I don't see it that way at this point at all. At all.
No, I see cancer. I used to think cancer was one of the natural endpoints, that you were either going to die of organ failure or cancer, and that these things were balanced by selection. I now don't believe this. I think cancer is largely managed by physiology and unmanaged by pollutants and other bits of interference in our environment. But I also think the number of things which show promise in this regard, including things like ivermectin, fasting.
Yep.
So no, I would not leap to allopathic solutions here at all.
I would not leap to when allopathic. That's a fucking weasel word. The allopathic solutions means science-based medicine. This means evidence-based treatment. That's what allopathic means. Also, I don't think that if you get cancer, what you need to do is stop eating and take a bunch of ivermectin. There might, you know, some of the treatments for cancer are horrific, and I hope that none of you end up going through that, because it is painful and depressing, and it's depressing for you, depressing for your family. But it does work. It's allopathic, though. So that's the podcast. It hasn't been great, and it's gone long this week. It's gone long. We're just a little over 2 hours for the podcast. So if you're listening on the podcast and you got to the end of this, I don't know how, but if you got to the end of this and you're listening on like iTunes or Spotify or whatever, iTunes, you know, I'm old. You know, check out the live show sometimes. We're live most nights during the week on Twitch, twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. Shows start either 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. Pacific. Also check out our new podcast, Used to Be a Spy. It's a Burn Notice Rewatch podcast. And if you would like to know what happens after this song, but you don't want to tune in live, or maybe you missed it, you could join on Patreon or at eplex.store at the $5 level or higher every month. And this show will be emailed to you a day early, and you'll get the whole thing. Is getting the rest of this show good? I don't know, actually, because it just gets crazier. Anyway, if you're watching live, as always, stay put. I'm going to change the color of the lights in this room and pour myself a drink, and we'll be back for Red Light. This is Boomers by Periscope.